Right, let's go and talk a bit about Mad Lions then. So, amazing. If I start with you on this one, the interesting thing about this team for me is, I have to admit, of all the teams in the league, aside from Misfits, this is the team I never felt like I had a proper read on. I could never tell when they were like really good, when they were actually dropping off. Because the thing about their style of play as well is they do just pull wins out of nowhere. So, like, I have a really hard time with this squad. I can't tell if they're actually like low-key going to be the champions again, if they're just going to go out in fourth place and miss Worlds. What's your sense for where Mad Lions are?
I'm very much on the same side as you. What confuses me about my Lions, honestly, is the fact that they win games in fashions that I think no other team does. Because they keep honestly winning mid-game team fights or suddenly randomly dominating the early game out of nowhere. And I think that's like really odd to me because it doesn't feel like that they have a stable identity where I'm really sure what they do besides those mid-game team fights. That's the only thing I can pinpoint and be like, this is what they're really good at. They could always like are able to execute during those times, unless they're playing G2, and that's how they get the wins. But other than that, like none of their players, besides maybe I suppose Kai'Sa, I guess Amud, Kai'Sa and Amud have like really defined styles. I think Amud is like team fighting top laner. You know what he's going to bring. He's not going to be able to dominate on the lane, but he has specific picks he's going to bring into the game with the Wukong, for example, or Aatrox in the past. And then Kai'Sa, obviously, his melee support like play, just like engage heavy style is really really dominant for them. So these are the only two players I can really pinpoint and be like, this is what they do every single game. But the other three players seem to really vary in their performance as well as in what they actually bring to the table. So yeah, it's the same for me. I don't know what to make of Bad Lions. I think they can very well be just get 3-0 today, because G2 has beaten them twice in the regular season, but they could also suddenly beat them 3-2 or 3-1 again, and I'd be none the wiser. So for me, it's the same thing. Mad Lions is an enigma, and I don't know, like, because they almost go against everything that I kind of like preach about League of Legends in terms of the controlled style and make sure that everything is like step by step, like similar to how Rogue does it. Like they do everything besides that, you know. Like so, it's really hard to really say how good they are compared to other teams, because they can fluctuate on any given day.
Yeah, Zabatine, I have to say as well, like I implied about the Rogue thing earlier, when I talk to people behind the scenes or even who come on talk shows, the whole storyline of basically over the last 4 weeks of summer is just, is Rogue the best? Then is G2 as good as Rogue? And no one ever brings up Mad Lions. Like they somehow, even though they're the champions, they don't get like, I don't hear anyone saying they're the best team, for example. Like where do you actually think they stand at the moment?
I mean, the first thing is Rogue is always going to be praised by other teams because they put Scream against Rogue, and in Screams you play the first 15 minutes of the game, and if you just fall behind, you just quit. Yes. And since they are excelled at the first 15 minst of the game, and you're gonna quit a lot of Screams against Rogue, sure. So there is this, I think, misconception about who is strong in Screams, first of all. But on the other hand, I mean, Mad Lions, there is definitely a motivation issue. Like when you saw the interview, I think Lore made an interview with Humanoid on stage last time, and he was like, yeah, I don't like the game. I played because that's my job, but I don't like it. So recently I played a little bit more. It feels good, but not that great. You never hear a player that's like at the edge of his position saying that, right? I've had the issue on like playing the game and being hurt by the game, for instance, when I was working with Crown at some point in NA. And that's very rare that a player that's really shined that at his prime has this motivation issue. So it's very hard to rate Mad Lions because I feel like 1 week or on one patch, some of the players are going to have more fun playing the game, and then they're going to look really damn good because they know exactly how to play the game and their stuff is really, really good. And another week, the patch is not going to be that great, or they're going to be motivation issues, and you're going to see Kazi dies 3 times in lane, and Humanoid just try to solo dive because it doesn't even seem to care. It's going to just loaf after dying. So it's very hard to rate them. I'm on your side, guys. But at the end of the day, I would still say that they're probably the most dangerous team with G2 in this playoff by a significant margin. I will rate Rogue like further back in comparison to like Misfits and Rogue. For me are the 2 weakest team, and G2 and Mad are the 2 best by a far margin. Yeah.
Okay, then listen, we'll obviously keep going in this match, but give us a little bit on that. Give us some extra on Rogue then, because even though you gave like comments on the flaws, the idea they're one of the worst in the playoffs is pretty bold take. So give us a little bit extra on that. Give us some of the reasons.
Why they're the best team?
Rogue's one of the worst. Yeah, do you have any other reason for that?
Because Rogue or Cloak. Yeah, I've watched the series yesterday, and if you watch the Misfits playstyle, like they have a self-sufficient bot lane that doesn't like if you funnel the bot lane of Misfits, you don't get much out of it, right? We already mentioned that. You have a top laner that is 24/7 hard pushing waves no matter what and dies to gank. as if he was the 7th camp of the enemy jungle. And they have a very strong 2v2 mid jungle, but that doesn't like the profile of Misfits as a team is not like insane, like all around. Like they're pretty rough on the corner. They fight very well, but have clear weaknesses. And if you compare to Rogue, like Rogue with a decent macro should 3-0 Misfits extremely easily. And they even when they get a lead, like you see them getting a lead, and they don't just fast forward the game and just explode the Nexus at 25 and you feel like it was effortless. It's barely never the case, except when the enemy team is throwing like bodies at them during a dragon fight, they can ace. But I don't feel like they have this robust playstyle where they can come back from behind and they can like destroy when they're ahead. Whereas if you see Mad with a lead, usually they know what they have to do in terms of like waves and vision and taking fights. And I'm not even mentioning G2 that whenever they get like 2 or 3 kills in the early game, if everybody's motivated in G2, you feel like the game is unwinnable. And I never have this feeling with Rogue. So that's why I feel like they're much worse, because I feel like they're not going to fight against Excel once again. They're going to fight against each other. So the team that's going to get the lead is going to have to maintain this lead and push the lead to the Nexus. And in that sense, Mad and G2 are far ahead in terms of like winning when they're ahead and not losing that much when they're behind.
Listen, I see the stylistic point. I think you make a good point in that sense. Like, obviously, on paper, Rogue was supposed to just smash that. The problem with that is, like, I think their players are so good. They can't be one of the worst teams in the playoffs. Come on, they've got worst case scenario. They're like 2nd or 3rd for me. That's just my take. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or be a pleb and don't.